the future.
It's impossible to see.
And when it's finally here, it might not be what you'd expect. It might just be better. Introducing Luxury Electric. Introducing Lucid Air. We're for those who love to discover, who don't need to travel to find something new, and who know when you spend less, you can discover even more at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Smooth, velvety chocolate wrapped in precious gold. Ferrero Rocher.
At Shirley Lou and Associates, powered by First Financial Security, our mission is to help all people achieve financial security and peace of mind.
My team and I are here to help you reach financial security tomorrow and for generations to come.
She is one of the most sincere and compassionate people that I will ever meet in my life. She sincerely wants to build a legacy where no young woman that she meets is left destitute, that they are able to be self-sufficient, to provide for a family in an emergency, to build for their future and for our future generations.
At Shirley Lou and Associates, we are changing the face of insurance and retirement plans. Our mission is to lead, empower, and grow. We are the home of tax-free retirement. We provide comprehensive planning for businesses, rollovers for retirees, and individual personal financial planning.
I'm a very people-oriented person. It's important for me to make sure my clients feel in a safe environment, make sure I feel in a safe environment, that I can trust the people that I'm working with. And I feel that here working with Shirley and my team. These people are more like family to me.
Shirley has donated time and resources to the Shelter House, Women of Good Works, Good 360, Women That Soar, local churches, and the LISA Initiative. The LISA Initiative helps inform, educate, and empower women and their families' financial security. We believe entrepreneurship is a possibility for all walks of life.
Reach out to us. We would love to have a conversation to see how we can help.
When you see me, don't assume you know. But before you fall into conclusions, let me pick you up. You see, I am not Spanish. Yo hablo español. Spanish people come from Spain, and that is not where my family comes from. My family comes from a little island in the Caribbean that Taínos used to call home. And when the Spanish invaded the island, Hispanics is what we were called. But the word doesn't do justice to the now diversity amongst us, because I am as light as the mornings of Barcelona. I am as dark as the nights of El Congo. I am blessed by the Yaya of the Taínos. I am a glorious mix of my ancestors. Yo soy mulata, but I am history. I am the voice. I am the knowledge that will live on. I am rhythm. I am flow. I am the merengue my daughter would teach her sons. I am courage. I am hope. I am the arroz con habichuela my sons will feed their sons. I am a versatile yet pungent tongue that will hurt your ears but will get her point across. I am loud. I am proud. I am the sun who will not apologize for its color or for being born. I am Oscar de la Renta, Alex Rodriguez, Maria Montes. I am Zoe Saldaña, Amelia Vega, Julia Alvarez. I am just one of the many outcomes when you mix and shake things up, each one evolving, making a difference in this world. So when you see me, don't assume you know, but if you ask me, my pride will show. I am one of the many faces of America, and this is where I belong. I am the daughter of Dominican immigrants who proudly call the U.S. home. I am Dominican American for those who ask and care to know.
Hello, it's Naked at Night with JD, Lance, and Rick. So Lance has not made super much progress on me because I've been moving my head around too much. You want to show that turn that to the main camera or that one.
All right,
Yeah.
so this is half done, and I blame it all on Rick, as well as inflation and our other problems.
Let's show the misfortune you suffered earlier today.
Oh, I don't know if I can move this. Something I worked on for 4 years collapsed, and
It fell off the
I
stand.
can't move it.
No,
So-
but can we move the camera
Yeah, I
over
can
to
move it
show
if you
that?
want to. Yeah, I'll move it. One of my sculptures' heads fell off, and it's never good when anything you've been working on is completely destroyed. But I'm so used to it now that it really doesn't bother me. You know,
Even
I'll
the
figure it
wreckage
out.
is, you're going to be able to fix her,
I
right?
think I can fix her. Yeah, it's just another challenge.
This lady, I mean,
So anyway, that used to be can you see? All right, turn the thing. So this is the typical life that I have. So
does that
She-
zoom?
yeah, I don't know if you can see this, but this used to be a person. Can you see it now? You see it? Anyway, this used to be a fine head
Can you
sculpture,
bring the camera?
and
just pick
now
it up
it's
and bring it
completely
in?
destroyed.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, let's just bring the
Well, that's okay. Let's
wait to get another couple feet closer.
All right, so yeah, as you can see inside the sculpture, this is partly my fault too, because about 3 weeks ago, I noticed this little piece of metal sticking out. And I thought, why is that metal there? It's just causing trouble. So I chopped it off. And since then, the sculpture's been tilting and tilting. And today, while I was working on it, her head just fell apart. So if you see something, don't just cut it off. It might be important.
Also,
Let's get back to arguing.
that's been ahead for what, 4 years, you said?
Yeah, it used to be a whole body,
It used to be a 6-foot woman.
and that collapsed too.
And her body just melted one hot summer day.
Yeah, but I'm really a good sculptor. I'm really competent. Don't worry about a thing.
Yeah, well, so can we
I'll
blame,
take care of
can we
this.
blame the loss of that lady on climate change because that clay got too hot and it
You know
just.
what? Now I really am worried about climate change. You're right. I didn't know it was going to affect me, a Republican. By the way, as far as climate change goes, let's get this straight. I don't believe in it. I think climate change is just a way the Democrats can scare us and take our money and regulate us. I think there was recently released a UN report that was leaked that says the temperature on Earth hasn't really changed in the past 15 years. So I'm done with climate change. I'm done with lockdowns. I'm done with COVID. I don't believe in any of that stuff. You can't fool me now.
Is there anything that Hannity or Tucker Carlson believes that you disagree with?
So Hannity doesn't think the elections were rigged. So I disagree with him on that. I
Is there
lost
any
all
part
interest.
of the spectrum of conservative stuff that you?
Oh, you know what? Conservatives are split on support for Ukraine.
Well, you want Ukraine to prevail against Russia,
I
right?
would like it to, but there are, first of all, it wouldn't have happened if we had intervened in the very beginning with diplomacy. And secondly, we don't know where a lot of that money is going. We're
All right,
sending
that
them, we're sending the
aside,
money.
is-
If we can determine that the money is being used wisely, and it's not just being split up by Ukrainian oligarchs, I think a strong argument could be made that we need to keep the fight going.
Right, and you
But-
you
but-
you
but-
prefer
but-
you prefer a proxy war where Ukraine depletes Russia's military resources and without Americans having to go to war again.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have to do any of it if Trump has said that we could negotiate our way out of the war. And Biden doesn't seem capable of it. So I would be anxious to see what Trump suggests. I have a feeling that what Trump would say would do is say, look, we're going to cut off all support to Ukraine unless they agree to territorial concessions. So my opinion is that
What, give him part of the Donbass?
we might have to do something
Yeah,
like
but
that
then he
because
just chips away.
I understand, but
he took Crimea under Obama.
yeah, yes,
And
and the Donbass under Biden.
and
Notice how he left him alone under Trump.
yeah, because they were friends. He didn't
So,
wanna-
so yeah, right. Putin does things because he's friends with someone. What happened
they were
was
super friends.
what
Trump
happened-
and Putin.
what
were
happened-
Super friends.
What happened was Putin respected Trump, so he didn't invade countries under Trump, but he invaded countries under Obama and Biden. Now,
Because he
let me,
didn't like
let me,
him.
okay, so let me finish. So the problem is that Ukraine might just lose the whole war.
It doesn't look
It's-
like they're doing it that now.
Yeah, they're losing. And so the question is, we can keep giving them armaments, but if they're going to lose the whole war, somebody may have to step in and say, look, you're
How
going to
are
have
they
to.
losing? Because they're not.
They just keep losing territory in battles. They just lost a major, 2 or 3 major strategic cities this week that your media, the Democrats, didn't want you to know about, but I know. So I'm saying I would love Ukraine to win, but they may have to make a concession somewhere to survive as a nation. So that has
Do
to
you
be
think
considered.
Putin is dying? Do you think, or
I don't think it matters if Putin dies. Russia has set their mind that they're going to take over Ukraine, which I'm vehemently against. But I think we need a different approach if we're starting to lose.
Hey, Lance, are you just worried about the Ukraine, or how do you feel about some people are wondering if China isn't taking over the entire world, including the U.S. and Africa? So there are some people that are concerned about China more so than they are Ukraine and Russia. So are you worried at all about the Chinese influence in the world?
Well, what I'm worried about is that China has given on record the new congressional investigations into the Biden bank accounts and Hunter Biden's laptop have revealed that the communist Chinese, don't you say a word, have given $40 million at least to Biden and Biden's family. And I think that's how they were able to bribe the Biden family into letting them send a spy balloon that crossed the country. There was no excuse for that. That balloon should have been shot down. That balloon went right over very important secret military installations throughout our country. And furthermore, the communist Chinese have pretty much blockaded Taiwan. They're sending their aircraft en masse, giant wings of aircraft daily, violating Taiwan's airspace. And the Biden administration, if they cared, would be sending a part of our Atlantic fleet over to the Pacific and organizing our allies, Australia, Japan, and South Korea, to defend Taiwan. But they're not. They're letting the Chinese encroach and encroach and encroach. And I believe part of the reason is that Biden has been bought off.
I think that's, well, it's horseshit, but I do believe.
That's a good argument, by the way.
No, it's a terrible
Very
argument.
subtle.
Now, this is another theme of the show where Lance says
He's-
something that he's gotten from Hannity or podcasts
I
or,
thought it up on my own, Rick.
or whatever with his thinking, because he does art all day and then he like thinks conservative thoughts and comes up with crap. Whereas I'm arguing on Twitter all day in a towel. In the summer, I tweet in a towel. In the winter, I tweet in a bathrobe. Then I take a nap, and then I try to get dressed before my wife comes home from work at 1 p.m. So I'm often unprepared and can't respond to Lance's BS, even though I know it's BS. But China, I mean, what we need, I believe, is a push for to make sure that we maintain technological superiority, the same kind of push we had when we had a national freakout when in 1957 or 58, back when your dad was creating the Pink Panther, when Russia, the Soviet Union, became the first nation to put a satellite in orbit. And it scared the crap out of America. And there was a major push for science education, which resulted in today's computer industry and today's tech billionaires. That education push in the 60s that got us to the moon and educated this crop of approaching elderly billionaires put us on top technologically. And we need another push because China has 4 times our population, and they are an entrepreneurial dictatorship. They can push their people around. They have 4 times our population. They're pushing their people from the farms into the cities. Each week, a new Chinese city passes 1 million population. They have close to 250 cities of 1 million people or more, cities devoted to manufacturing and technology. And they will, in the words of Daniel Day-Lewis, they will drink our milkshake.
I thought that's what we were having that super rich space war. Because, we had the Russia-U.S. space war. Now we got the space war with all the millionaires trying to figure out who's going to get up to space first, because I think they're all trying to escape the planet. So we got, Elon Musk going up there. We got Bezos going up there. And we got Richard Branson going up there. As if he ain't got no problems with his both ship and planes and everything else. But they all seem to be going up to the space and having this millionaire space war while the rest of us stay down here on Earth.
Space is BS. We were all excited about space in the 60s. Every time there was a new Apollo launch, they pulled everybody out of class, they rolled out the TV, and we all watched the launch. But if you look now, people aren't interested much in it's vaguely interesting, especially if a rocket blows up. But our priority is inner space by way of technology, the technology that fits in our hand. Information technology. We're not going to gain much in the near future from trying to colonize Mars and the moon. The dust on the moon is super spiky. They don't have wind or water to round out that sand. That sand is super corrosive on the moon, and it's going to make for terrible conditions to try to make a colony. There's the problem of radiation. We are protected from radiation by our magnetic field and by a thick atmosphere here on Earth. On Mars, no, you get cooked. You're going to get cancer. It's a fool's errand to think we're going to get anything in the near future except maybe some improved technology from trying to put people on Mars.
Yeah, Rick and Lance, as we wind down on this week 1 of the episodes and everything, I had one quick question for you, Rick, and I had one for Lance and everything. But for you, I'm trying to see if I understand this, because it seems to me, and yes, I know big words every once in a while too, that you are an oxymoron. And I want to know if your wife knows that you're an oxymoron, because you just admitted that you were a bum because you were doing all this tweeting stuff that folks would do if they were being a bum, but you're a super smart bum. So that would be like an oxymoron. So would you admit that you are somewhat of an oxymoron?
Oh yeah, my Twitter handle is dumbass genius, because for every smart thing I do or say, I say 2 or 3 or do 2 or 3 things that are absolutely stupid. I kept going back to high school. I wanted to do high school right. What kind of idiot is still in high school at age, the last time I graduated high school, I was 27 years old. I spent hundreds of hours taking IQ tests. That is ridiculous. I go to the gym 5 times a day. That because of OCD and just because I like the numbers. that, and I've averaged 4.705 workouts a day for the past 32 years and 4 months. That is insanity.
What was the mega test you took? That's the one I think is the most impressive. The one that you're the only one that ever passed it?
The Titan test, which was the sequel to the mega test, thought to be the hardest IQ test ever written. And I got the only perfect score on it.
Yeah, I don't know how.
What is that worth? Nothing. Stephen Hawking said, if you have to, and people who brag about their IQs are losers. This is a very smart guy.
What's that old quote? The definition of insanity: doing the same thing over and getting the something about the results.
Day after day, I do 20, 30 tweaks. What does it accomplish? Nothing. I go to the gym. What is, I'm not fricking The Rock. Like I said, I look like a skinned fricking rabbit.
Not the skinned rabbit. Hey, Lance, real quickly as we wind down, it's definitely getting late over here in the Carolinas and everything. But the question I have for you is, we were talking about politics earlier, and there's this notion that comes out of the Republican side, and it's definitely here in North Carolina. I think it's in South Carolina. I know it's in Kentucky. So are you at all worried about some of these conservative states having quote unquote super majorities? Because it seems to me that that could be problematic as well if one party has too much control, because that's part of the argument here in North Carolina, I think in Kentucky, and definitely in South Carolina, I think even in Florida.
So, we live with super majorities in California of Democrats, and in Illinois, I believe they have a Democrat super majority. It's a beautiful thing because in California, you get to see what the Democrats would do if they had total control. And you can compare that to Florida. You see what the Republicans will do when they have total control. So I don't think that in and of itself is a bad thing.
Wait, can I agree with you?
Okay, but
I mean, because I think California is nice. I think Florida is kind of a mess. But
my problem is that the Republicans over in your neck of the woods, I believe Mitch McConnell is he Kentucky or North Carolina?
He's Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky. So you got Mitch McConnell, who is basically a Democrat, and you got Lindsey Graham in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Nobody knows what he believes. And so my problem is, and here I probably will agree with Rick, the false Republicans like Graham and Mitch McConnell, I think do as much or more harm to the country than the Democrats.
Would that be like the false Democrats like Manchin?
Manchin is he's playing a game where he gets to have much more power than he really deserves by playing both sides. But I believe McConnell and Graham are actually traitors to the Republican Party. And so you're not really seeing principled Republican people. You're seeing people that are those fellas are willing to make deals with the Democrats and sell out the country.
All right, so this is not news to people, but if you like, MAGA means Make America Great Again, which means that America was great at some point, right?
Yeah.
So I think that things have been good in America when there's less polarization and people when you have two healthy, not insane political parties. And this is not news to anybody who's watched what's been going on, but gerrymandering on both sides, though I'd say the Republicans have been more successful at it, means that you get more extreme office holders. If you have a safe Republican district or a safe Democratic district, that means that the winner of the primary wins the general election. And generally, the winner of the primary is the most extreme candidate. And so we've got a bunch of freaking extreme people in Congress.
Yeah, well, I just came up with a great idea for a guest segment, but it's got to get approved by the two hosts, which would be the two of you. But I think sometime in the month of July, it'd be Independence Month and everything. I think that we need to call. I mentioned her earlier, but we'll do a guest segment, and the guest will be playing the role of you, meaning you, Rick, will be AOC. Playing the role of Lance will be Marjorie Taylor Greene. What do you think?
I'd love to have those people. And anybody who shows up on our show, Lance will draw them.
If they sit still.
If they sit still.
Unlike Rick.
Yes. So, JD, do you want to do another? Yeah. And also, earlier, in a couple segments ago, JD was revisiting a classic bit from Andy Kaufman, where a person with a foreignish accent turns out to be an excellent performer, which you wouldn't expect initially. So that's what was going on there.
And just to let you know, after this bit, we'll do a quick commercial or two, and then you'll do like a wrap-up 10-minute segment. Did you hear that, Rick? Because I'm late.
Yes.
Cool.
So thank you so much, Rick and Lance. It's a great honor to be part of the show. And like Rick said, I really love the performance aspect. It's performance art is what I do. And I was doing kind of my Mexican Andy Kaufman. And then a little while ago, I did my just a little ad lib, a little improvisation with music. And I hope you like that. But we have a special treat for you right now. I'm going to do a song that I wrote called Matador. I think this song is very special because watching these two guys, watching Rick and watching Dan, it's like a bullfight. Watching at one moment, Lance is the bull and Rick is the matador. And then another moment, Rick is the bull and Lance is the matador. So we're going to have, I'm going to do a song called Matador featuring a special performance dance by Aimee Lisantea. Valiente es el matador, and brave is the matador. Y el toro magnífico, magnificence is the bull. La capa roja es un baile, like a dance with the red cape. Pero el toro con furia, fury, the furious is the bull. Las espadas danza el matador, the knives y el toro ataca el matador, and the bull charges the matador. El matador vuela en el aire. The matador goes flying in the air. Thank you so much, folks. Hope you enjoyed the musica. Original music by J.D. Mata. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Emil Santea. Ooh, yeah.
Hello, I'm Guy Young, President and CEO of Uniworld Boutique River Cruises. As a proud member of the Travel Corporation family of travel brands, Uniworld is part of a joint initiative called Tread Right. We have a strong tradition of supporting the places we visit, and Tread Right supports us in this work. As a travel business, we feel this is our responsibility. For the past 2 years, we have been involved in a sustainable river cruising project. We have worked closely with Tread Right and the sustainable tourism charity, the Travel Foundation, to better understand and manage the environmental impact of our river cruise ships. As an award-winning boutique luxury cruise line, we understand that the strict standards we maintain will ensure the satisfaction of our guests. Every year we raise the bar on standards for environmental performance, an issue the cruising industry has not traditionally given the attention it deserves. Our efforts working with the Travel Foundation seek to change that.
Hello, I'm Sue Hurdle, CEO of the Travel Foundation. The Travel Foundation is a charity that works with the travel sector to improve the sustainability of tourism, protecting the future viability of the industry, improving customer experience, and of course benefiting the people and places that we love to visit. To date, the Travel Foundation has audited Uniworld ships on water and energy use and waste production, and a set of recommendations have been developed to help achieve measurable reductions in these areas. The Travel Foundation will use the results of the project to develop a sustainable river cruising pack that will be made available alongside its wide range of other online tools for the benefit of the wider industry. As the river cruising industry continues to grow and develop, this tool will provide much needed guidance so that development happens with the best possible outcome, helping to ensure a bright and profitable future for the sector.
Europe's incredible cities are what compels so many travellers to visit the continent year after year. They inspire our unique travel itineraries and drive us to continue to protect these places so our customers, their families, and the people who call them home may continue to enjoy them for generations to come.
We thank Uniworld for its progressive stance on these issues and for supporting our work. And we hope very much that this will inspire other companies to tackle the sustainability issue and find out how the Travel Foundation can help them to help themselves.
Working with the Travel Foundation ensures we will not only improve our operations, but that together we will have an impact on the tourism industry at large. The results of Uniworld's sustainable initiatives on the rivers of Europe and Egypt will facilitate the creation of tools and standards to benefit the entire river cruise sector.
Hey, it's Naked at Night, the wrap-up segment with JD, Rick, and Lance. And I don't know, didn't Jerry Springer do a segment right at the end of every show? Or what did we learn this week? What did we learn this week?
We still have a lot of passion, which is good. I still find you disappointingly ignorant. You have not been chasing. You've learned nothing in the past 2 years of Biden misrule.
You seem to, you continue to absorb 50 hours of podcasts a week, and you kind of maintain for the most part, the conservative party line.
All right. Okay. So, what do you want to talk about for the last few minutes?
All right. Well, just to get back to the writers' strike, which is you got screwed over, even with the protections of the Writers Guild.
Yeah.
And with AI coming, AI can write, but only unoriginal stuff. But sometimes unoriginal stuff is sufficient. If you watch a Liam Neeson movie where something bad happens at the beginning and he's out to stop the bad guys, you don't care if a lot of the lines are cliches. If he's driving a car with somebody and they look back and they go, "We've got company," it's like, we've got company. Does it really make you crazy if they say that?
I think.
I mean, what else would they say? Like in that situation, being followed, I guess. But anyway, AI can write either of those lines. They're not very original, and that's a threat because if you break down writing tasks into, there's coming up with ideas, there's fleshing out ideas. You can do those unoriginally in every case if unoriginal is okay, and for a lot of things it is. And basically AI right now is just group sourcing. You feed every screenplay that's ever been written into a computer, and the computer knows statistically what happens in certain types of screenplay, in any type of screenplay.
Hey, Lance and Rick, I have some great news for you because, like I said, we're going to cut this into those segments so it'll run consecutively during the week and everything. But we have been recording live, and you have managed to keep up a male nurse, an emergency room nurse, that being Mr. Nelson Gunn, who actually wrote in that he was enjoying this conversation, and he has been involved in that field for 21 plus years. So apparently y'all were doing something right because he works as an emergency room nurse at the VA hospital here in Durham, North Carolina. So he was up all this time and absorbing this conversation and apparently being entertained by it. So definitely y'all have done good in this first one.
Thank you for your service, Nelson. I spent a lot of time at the VA with my grandpa. You provide a great service. My grandpa was in World War I and arrived in France just in time for the armistice, so he didn't have to fight. He arrived in time to get kissed by the French ladies who were excited the war was over and also liked his curly hair back when he had hair.
Well, I hope that as an emergency room nurse, tonight is quiet and you don't have to see anything horrible. So I'm glad in between gruesome experiences, you were able to derive some comfort from Rick and Lance. So, the thing about these films you're talking about is that I don't think people find films popular anymore. I don't think people are going to films anymore.
Yeah, but I haven't been to a movie theater in 3 years, but I've streamed 100 movies in that time.
But don't you find that people are sort of saying no to the traditional action movies? Aren't people getting tired of those things now?
Well, I'll fall asleep. I'll curl up. We have a really comfy Johnny Was blanket, and that thing just is an invitation to fall asleep for half of a movie on our couch.
Well, I mean,
Wait a minute. Weren't there two very much action movies that were very popular? Because I'm thinking that I know quite a few of my friends that were watching The Warrior King, the Black Panther, or what's it called, The Woman King, or something like that. Black Panther, and all of those are action movies. There's nothing but action and war and bunches of fighting in those
My
movies.
wife and I quit watching Top Gun because it was dumb, which is like blasphemy because it's supposed to be one of the greatest. We quit before there was any like really good flying.
Well, okay, look, if I'm open-minded about this, but I think that the problem with the movies you've described is that they're not truly creative. And if AI is going to be even less creative, I find it hard to believe that people will still go see them.
But they don't have to go see them; they can stay home
or stream them.
Well, that's part of the reason that movie theaters. I know it became popular in California. I know it's definitely become popular on the East Coast, but that's part of the reason of these movie theaters becoming like an experience. You don't go to the movie theater just to go to the movie theater. It's like you have to have food served there, and they're like these big duplexes. So you're not just going to see the movie; you're going to have a experience, maybe a bar, a whole dinner. It's like a whole experience, kind of experience that's going on.
Justine Bateman, who's an actor, a director, a writer, did a long tweet thread that explains how anybody in the film and TV industry is threatened because they can generate likenesses of any performer, living, dead, or non-existent. There are influencers online now who don't exist. They're just AI. And
are we, Lance and Rick, are we 100% sure? Because this entire several hours, y'all have been talking about politics and about the two folks that are very big on politics. It sounds like they're both going to be running for president. It's going to be the Trump-Biden rematch. Are we 100% sure that Biden and Trump are really Biden and Trump? Or is it possible that it's really AI that is running these two campaigns and they're running the actual people? Because I'm not sure that either one of them are actually who they are.
Enough footage. Lance and I did this show. There's 400 hours of us doing exactly this.
Mm-hmm.
And you could plug this into AI and you could get a not overly convincing version of this, but one that, you might be fool somebody for 15 or 20 seconds. But if you plug this in 5 years from now, you could probably get entire episodes of this show that were pretty convincing. And that's what Justine Bateman is arguing is going to happen. That Hollywood agents will not protect you. If they get 10%, if Meryl Streep is persuaded by her agent to be allowed to be turned into an AI version of herself and get paid, then that agent doesn't care about that as long as the agents get paid, they're okay with using AI people. I don't think.
Well, I hear you, but I just read an article recently, actually earlier this morning, but it was talking about, I'm sure that all of us, including the two of you, including the guest performers, have at some point or another lost somebody. And there are apparently these things going around called grief bots, which literally you put in the memory of those folks that you lost in order to have conversations with them about something that maybe you forgot to tell them when you were living or that you regretted not telling them. And apparently they're very popular apparently in China. So you'd be surprised to know that, Lance, but apparently they're very popular in China.
There was a Black Mirror episode of that like 3 years ago, and it's crazy how fast AI has come on, and it's a reality now. But Justine Bateman said she did 7 seasons of Growing Pains, and she says in the near future, somebody wants a season 8 of that, AI will be able to generate it, and that's a threat to people who want to make a creative contribution and who want to get paid, because AI will be, and the money from that will go to.
But coming back to one of Lance's favorite people, because I know you're talking about movies, but there are already hologram AI concerts of Prince and Michael Jackson. I haven't seen one yet of Elvis. Doesn't mean it's not on the way. It just means I haven't seen it yet. But I'm sure there'll be a hologram version of an Elvis concert and all in that space. So we can go see Elvis, even though maybe you never saw him when he was living. But now you can go see him.
Yeah, I mean, there are AI movie trailers. I've seen an AI beer ad, an AI pizza ad. And of course, they have they're a little bit fake. They're not truly AI creations because there's so much human input. But it's a growing threat. And this is the biggest threat that the Writers Guild and Screen Actors Guild its contract is about to run out, and they'll probably strike. And it's the greatest threat to actors and writers and everybody else that there's ever been. If you can have a computer generate a whole movie or a whole season of TV without electricians, grips, without craft service people, without makeup, hair, set builders, because it's all just everybody is threatened, and there needs to be protections. And this is an issue that's 100 years old, when recorded music threatened to put orchestras, studio musicians out of business. And they fought for protections. And I really don't know how well those protections have held up 100 years later, but we have to try.
Yep, definitely have to try, but we're winding down. I've actually got a commercial to close this out that deals with the multiverse and everything. Hey, Lance, is this picture going to be completed on next week's episode of 5, or is you and Rick going to just continue arguing? It's going to take like another 2 years to get this picture done.
Well, I'll tell you, I could have gotten this picture done. Rick has to cooperate and stop moving. If Rick will stop moving, I can get it done in an hour. That's something we can look forward to. I would like to do a drawing every 3 hours, but we may need to hire some professional models if that's of any interest to anybody. I mean, if anybody would like to see beautiful women in scantily clad, I don't know if that's of
or
any
beautiful
interest.
men. We don't know who's watching.
Well, we'll see about that, Rick.
Yeah. We could definitely be open to that. Either that, or we'll have to find some way to secure Rick so that he doesn't move as much, and you don't have to give him all those directions that you've been given for the last 3 hours. So, we might have to put him in some sort of bondage, which I don't know. Some of the women that are in Rick's life may actually like that, which is a scary thought.
Let me ask you a question, since you're the producer.
Yes.
Do you get anything out of the bondage thing? Because I personally find it a little, the whole thing seems distracting. I've never tried that. Rick?
I never tried it, and my one experience with it was quite scary. It was a young lady that because I also have a background in journalism, as Rick knows, and everything, that I was covering her for a small newspaper, and she was doing some modeling. So I went to her loft apartment and went to cover and do the reporting on her at that particular loft apartment. And at some point, Mother Nature calls. So I was like, can I use your restroom? Her restroom was upstairs. And when I walked upstairs, there was a whip and a chain and all of that kind of stuff. So I proceeded to come down, much younger then. I was probably like in my late 20s, early 30s. So I came down and I proceeded to ask the lady, who, by the way, went off to become a stripper in Vegas there for a minute. And I know that was one of your other jobs, Rick. And then she became an evangelist. And I think that you said that you had some time in that evangelistic camp, Lance, and all of that. But I came downstairs and I asked her, and I said, is that for show or is that for real? Because I was young and naive. And I cannot imitate it because I'm not that good at Mae West. But in one of the best Mae West impersonations, she looked me up and down. She looked me up and down again. And then in one of those salty and sultry Mae West voices, she said, that depends. And being young and naive, I was scared and I ran away. I hate to admit it, but because it was one of the moments where I should have run away, but I ran away because she kind of intimidated me.
Opportunities that I shouldn't have.
You did the right thing. You did the right thing.
I think people would become sexually lazy because they're so back when we were teens, in the 70s, everything in the 70s sucked except for sex. If you were cool enough to have sex as a teen, I wasn't. Lance was. So good job for Lance. But now there's so much stuff that's awesome besides sex, and there's so much porn that really the quest for having sex with an actual other person has been de-emphasized. It's further down people's lists of things to aspire to.
So Lance, you were the 70s version, because I used to watch this very popular, speaking of television, very popular TV show, and I actually liked the TV show, even though I was never going to get a motorcycle jacket or anything that was cool. But if I'm hearing Rick correctly, you were the 70s version in your high school there in California somewhere of the Fonz. So it sounds like you were the 70s version of the Fonz, or is Rick just embellishing your reputation somewhat? Because the way he's describing you, you sound like you were the 70s version of the Fonz.
Lance went to Pali High, which is in itself one of the coolest places to go to high school. As the son of a Hollywood, big shot writer, which I know writers are schmucks, but it had to be worth something. And you had girlfriends and stuff, which was inconceivable to me.
The things that I'm most proud of that happened when I was in high school, I can't repeat on television. So that subject needs to be left behind. But at the high school I went to, probably 20% of the people there were in the film industry, their parents. So what my father did, that was low. I mean, we had several movie stars come out of there. Jennifer Jason Leigh. We had a guy that was a quarterback for went to the Super Bowl. So, and one guy went to the Olympics, all from my same class. So what I found out years later is that the very, very best parts of town really do have exceptional people. The IQs in that school there were a lot of people that were in the 160s and 150s.
But again, and talking about IQ.
Technically, in a normal high school, you should only have one person with an IQ over 150.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but next time we talk, we can talk about why IQ is kind of
why IQ is overrated and everything. But I'm still getting over this as we wrapping up, because it seems to me that the one that was the nerd in high school, that would be you, Rick, got the wife and the daughter, whereas the one that was the cool one in high school is single, if I'm hearing correctly and everything. So it seems to me like we flipped this.
All right, I will tell you the secret to staying married a long time is good insurance, so you can pay for couples counseling, or don't have to pay for it. Insurance pays for it. And low self-esteem on each partner's part. Low self-esteem, there are two kinds of people. High self-esteem means, I don't need to work on this relationship. I can always hook up with somebody else. Two low self-esteem people are like, I better hold on to this because who knows when I could end up in a relationship again, given my lack of game.
Gotcha. Well, the last question for both of you, and I promise this is the absolute last question from this side on the producer side, is almost a night and a half ago now, I met this young lady that was originally from Oklahoma, but she also lived in California. Her dad was like an original police officer in California and the rough parts, but she was of German background, if I remember correctly. She lived in Compton for a minute, I think, until they saw a shootout in their neighborhood. So I was just wondering if either one of you would even dare to live in Compton. It's not exactly the safest neighborhood, but I was wondering if either one of you would dare to bother to live in Compton, much the way that this young lady did for a hot second.
I've been to Compton in the daytime. I assume there are places where if you were cautious and weren't an idiot that you could live okay. Last time I was in high school at age 26 and 27, I would move from shadow to shadow because I kind of looked older than high school students. I would like to stay in low light. So I kind of skulked around like a ghost of the high school. And I assumed, if I lived in Compton, I'd learn how to successfully skulk and avoid situations where, I'd be more likely to get messed with?
All right, so the answer to your question, sir, is I can answer that. About, 6 years ago, I happened to be living with a woman of the African American persuasion. And this film came out called Straight Outta Compton.
I know that film.
And of course, she wanted to see it. And I said, by God, if we're going to see Straight Outta Compton, we're going to have to get in the car and go straight into Compton. So we're driving straight into Compton to see Straight Outta Compton. And I say to her, all right, where's the theater? And she looked and she looked. She was on her phone, and we found out Compton is too fucked up to have a theater. So the answer to your question is maybe people can't live in Compton. It's tough. So we had to turn around and go back. And she told me that she doesn't go to Compton. So that's the end of my story.
I understand.
Rick, let's just keep our opinions to ourselves sometimes. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and on that note, any final thoughts? Otherwise, we're going to hit this commercial about the multiverse, as y'all have been talking about AI all this time, and that's going to get us on out of here for these particular 5 episodes.
My final thought: have low self-esteem. Find a partner with low self-esteem.
That's it. Lance, any final thoughts?
On how to stay single, it's easy. Be broke.
That works every time. I agree with you. Be broke and have low standards.
All right. So
thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
No problem. We'll get out of here with this particular commercial about the multiverse.
Thank you.